again. I'm Eddie T. Rogers, and welcome to Revival and Power. I'm going to share a word with you, something brief that I hope will be of benefit to you. I appreciate you watching. We would love for you to go to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up and like what you see, as well as give us a like on our Facebook page. It's good to have you with us today. I wanted to share with you just for a few minutes some things just comes by simple observation within the church today. If you look at the church for the most part, the overall church, I'm not talking about the set apart ecclesia. I'm talking about the church in general, the people who go to church and they don't realize they are the church. For the most part, it's a powerless church. For most part, it requires entertainment to keep people coming. And I think most of you can understand that to a degree at least. But in the early church, there was always something that was transpiring. Church wasn't boring, as we shared a few weeks ago, but there were signs, there were wonders, there were miracles. There was always a demonstration of the power of God. And we see very little of that today, although it is happening. I have read on Facebook where people are having miracles, and I would say that even we ourselves in the last 2 weeks at our Revival and Power meetings on Sunday night, a couple of weeks ago, there was ladies that were healed in the left eye with astigmatism. Her vision was absolutely cleared. In the past Sunday night, there was a man that was paralyzed on his right side, his right arm, from a stroke. And within 2 minutes, God had totally healed him, and his arms was over his head. Now, I realize that for the traditional church, they don't see these things and they don't believe in these things. They have put it in a category they call it has passed away. But if Jesus said it, we can do it. Jesus has never changed his mind. Jesus said, heaven and earth can pass away, but my words will never pass away. If I have said it, it is a truth. It is a literal truth. It will continue to function because Jesus said it. One of the things that the early church had that the church today is missing, Matthew 10:1, Jesus gathered his 12 disciples and imparted to them authority to cast out demons and to heal every sickness and every disease. The only requirement is to be a believing believer and his disciple. We say, well, I'm a believer, but are you a believing believer? And there's a way for us to grow in the things of the Spirit. Jude verse 20 says, building yourself up, praying in your most holy faith. The Passion Translation says, but you, my delightfully loved ones, constantly and progressively build up on the foundations of your most holy faith by praying every moment in the Spirit. Now, this is the most controversial gift of all of the gifts of the Spirit is praying in the Spirit, praying in tongues. And people say, well, I don't understand what I'm saying. That's right, you don't. It's an offense to the mind. This is where the Spirit himself, the Spirit of God within you takes over. But the early church valued that. The early church looked at it as something that was essential and it was necessary. Peter could walk down the street and that aura, that cloud of glory that was around him would heal people as he would walk by. But he saw the need that it was necessary for him to pray the prayer in the Spirit. In Acts chapter 6, in the literal Greek, it has a preceding word, the article the prayer. It wasn't a prayer. He said, but we're going to devote ourselves to the Word of God and the prayer. What was the prayer? The prayer, he's referring to praying in the Spirit. If the early church could do it, the church can still do it today if we give ourselves into praying in the Spirit. And I'm just wanting to encourage you. Some of you prayed in the Spirit a long time ago and you've quit and you see other things coming into your life, obstacles, hardship. Get back to praying in the Spirit and let the Spirit of God remove those mountains. The early church had power, strength, simply because they knew how to pray in tongues. Just guessing, okay? Perhaps today's church is so emaciated because they don't pray in the Spirit. And neither do they believe it even exists. Jesus said once his word went forth, it would not pass away. Perhaps if we return to our spiritual roots of praying in the Spirit, we would see more power, miracles, signs, and wonders. After all, if Jesus said my words would be standing even if heaven and earth passed away, we haven't lost anything except our weak faith. Our faith is built up. There's some interesting things, I'm going to close with this, that Jesus never did. And we see much of this in the church today. So if we did what Jesus didn't do, and we did do what Jesus did do, and instruct us to do, to wait, to tarry until we're filled with the Spirit and pray with the Spirit. Just listen. Jesus said Jesus never beat his sheep. He never scolded his sheep. He never kicked his sheep. He never talked about his sheep. He didn't scream at his sheep. He didn't curse his sheep. He did not call his sheep bad names. He was never disappointed in his sheep. He was never unkind to his sheep. He never avoided his sheep. He was never unforgiving to his sheep. He never left his sheep behind to fend for themselves, and he never quit loving them. John 10:14. I alone am the good shepherd, and I know those whose hearts are mine, for they recognize me and know me. Just as my Father knows my heart and I know my Father's heart, I'm ready to give my life for the sheep. So perhaps we should take Jesus' example as what he did with his sheep, and we should take his instructions about praying in the Spirit. Amen? Pray in tongues much, and have a wonderful day. God bless you.